Welcome back to the Creatively Curious podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Walter. In this week's episode, I'll be reviewing week 10 of the Creative Visionary program. And week 10, the theme is momentum. And so currently, we're working on what they call a series, and we're supposed to be working on 3 panels and just taking everything that we've learned so far each week in CVP and then applying them to our panels. And so I'll go over the takeaways, which I will be reading from my sketchbook notes. The takeaways from week 10 are: stay open, present, and curious in your process to maintain momentum. Some phases will last longer than other phases, and that's okay. So just I think I've heard this from other artists, but I know for myself, it's easy to be really critical. And it's not even just artists, people in general. Easy to be critical of ourselves and of the things that we're working on. But it's more helpful to stay open, to stay curious, to be wondering what will come next. And I've noticed for sure in this series, I've done, my initial layer or even the second layer, and I think, God, that's ugly. Like, what is that? Where I don't even know how to paint. I can't do this. But then, like, interestingly, which is also kind of like life, you think, I didn't want that to happen, but it becomes part of who you are. And the layers underneath, I'll do something else on top, and I think, oh, I kind of like how that ugly layer or that layer that I didn't like really comes through because it was kind of bolder or brighter or color that seemed almost too much for that layer. Then I'll kind of cover a bunch of it up and it seems really amazing underneath the other paint that's gone on. So you never really know. And I guess I've done this now enough times to just be curious instead of judgmental and think, what will come of this? Because this is just a layer and literally you can paint over it. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but it comes up pretty much every time I paint. So I'll mention it again. The second takeaway: most of the time, adjusting design and value will get you unstuck. So that's the source of 99% of the challenges. So we did talk about design and value in earlier podcast episodes. So please go back to listen to those if you're wondering what that is. But basically, the lightness and darkness of the painting and then how things are arranged in the painting. So number 3, play longer, especially in the early stages. This will enhance the outcome. Playing is an investment in the painting. Even if it gets covered up, it's in there. And so that's kind of what I was talking about, is just not being so judgmental and just curious, playful. What will this turn out to be? And if you don't like it, you just paint over it. The longer you play, Nick said this in one of the live sessions, the more you will learn. So the longer you play, the more you will learn. And this message came out pretty loud and clear, totally unrelated, but still related, is with one of my kids who I believe to be a deeply feeling kid. That's a Dr. Becky term. I realize this isn't a parenting podcast, but I think everything is creative. So parenting is creative as well. One of the recommendations is to really play. And I've heard that from other kind of child specialist people. Obviously, play. There was a whole podcast episode on play, but play, and especially being an occupational therapist, like, play is the most meaningful occupation to kids. That's their job, is to play. That's where they thrive, that's where they learn. And lots of times as parents, I realize I'm digressing here, but stick with me. We're so busy just doing all the things, tidying, cleaning, getting food ready, doing podcasts, painting, like doing things for ourselves, runs, bike rides, whatever, that sometimes, I know for myself, I guess I can only speak for myself, to sit down and play intentionally for 10 or 15 minutes with my kid just feels like one more thing on my to-do list. I'm gonna take a deep breath because that just made me emotional. But it's so important for them to have that connection with us. And I've realized it's like hard for me. And I've noticed it's hard for me in painting too, to just be really present, um, and to just allow myself that time. Mm. It's like a gift, right? Like there's no outcome. And for kids too, like it's not my outcome. It's based on him and what he wants to do. He gets to tell me how he wants me to play with him, and I'm not sort of a parent in the moment. I'm not a teacher. I'm not educating. I'm just playing. And I didn't realize like how important that is, and how like they thrive when we provide that for them. And so flipping that around, and like how important is that for us as well, to be able to allow ourselves that time, uh and I guess space, to just be with ourselves and see ourselves, I think, to do what we love to do. um so play longer. I have tried to do that. I think I spoke about this last podcast episode. I've used some products that are new to me, this coarse molding paste and glass bead gel. So that was really fun and interesting, and I love that. And so I feel like I feel like these paintings that I made were kind of all about play. I just had fun with them, and so we'll see. I'm gonna have them at the White Avenue Art Walk, July 11th, 12th, and 13th here in Edmonton. If you're a local person, please come visit me. I'll be in the South Bark location on White Avenue and 106th Street, but it almost seems like it's hard for me. I guess I feel like it would be hard to believe, and so maybe this is work I need to do, that people will want to pay me for these things that gave me such immense joy and pleasure to create. Hopefully that happens. Hopefully other people feel that, and I think that's what Nicholas kind of pushes through this whole program, is like how we feel gets translated onto the canvas, and that people can feel that, and that's why they're attracted to our art. So, fourth takeaway, it's easier to be risky, to try new things in the first few passes. So, we've talked about doing a couple passes, which means layers of paint. So, you put something down, leave it, walk away, come back a different day, put another layer, maybe do it later in the day. So, a few layers go on to the canvas or the board, whatever surface you're painting on. And so it's easier, you feel freer, more playful in those earlier stages than you do later. Because, and I know this comes up for me, is, and this will make my podcast, um, I forget what they call it. It'll have a negative rating or something. But I literally always say to myself, you're gonna fuck that up. You're gonna fuck it up. Like when I want to go back and do another pass, and I have to go, thank you for your feedback. I don't believe I will do that. Hopefully I don't. And then that's kind of where that critical voice comes in too. Like, you did fuck that up. What is that color? Like, what is that? But I know that those layers, again, I can always go back over them. But I have that kind of initial fear, and that initial, like, don't go back in there to do anything. Um, the first couple, you can think, oh, I'm just playing and I'm putting down this whatever, I'm trying these new things. So it is kind of that work of just kind of calming my body, calming that voice, and just saying, like, thanks. Yeah, you speak up a lot. I know you're worried. But I also have done this before, and it's just paint. It's just glass bead gel. It's just course molding paste, and I'll figure it out. So rehearse risk taking. So this is still going with number 4, taking in the early stages where the stakes are low. So just, really enjoying that time when we're not refining things, we're just really doing kind of big, bold layers. And then number 5, words to live by. Are you ready for them? When in doubt, get in motion. And this is true of everything, I would say. Um, it's hard sometimes to look at that blank canvas and to not necessarily have a plan, but you just got to move. You just got to get in motion, put something down. Sometimes I work with acrylic fluid, so they're really thin. They're almost like a watercolor. I'll just literally squish it on the canvas and move it around with my wedge tool, and then something's on the canvas, you know? Um, the same is true if, you know, if you're feeling kind of low, kind of not motivated, it's like get up, do something, vacuum, tidy, go go outside. Like I know that really helps me is to get outside, even if I'm weeding, I'm getting outside, I'm moving my body. Um, and same is true of working out. People do the same thing with exercising. I've coached people about this. It's like, which is why now I get up in the morning, I do my movement practice in the morning. I literally don't even think about it. It's just part of my routine, part of my habit. I get up, I meditate, make my electrolytes and my creatine, and move my body. Move my body because then I know I feel better for the rest of the day because I've done that. And then it's easier once you do it more, it's easier to kind of get into that motion. But you got to just get out of your head, say, thank you for your feedback, critical voice, and I'm going to go and do this. Let's see. So Nick talks a lot about, so he's abstract, he's kind of a very loose painter. So he was talking about the natural behavior of the material is often a beautiful juxtaposition to the controlled version of it. So I I like to be a bit looser too and freer with my painting. That feels better to me, but actually this is kind of definitely evolved since I've been in CVP, even from last year, is that my initial tendency was to be quite controlled and particular about lines. And oh, it's so freeing to be able to use the material in both those ways. So that's a difference that is people would notice in your art. So to have some clean lines, but also to have some kind of rough, messy lines. Um, and that it's nice to just kind of see what the material will do without trying to control it too much. So momentum, the theme, get in motion and stay in motion, but sometimes it is hard to get going. So I have what I believe to be 2 finished pieces. My third one, I'm having some kind of troubles with for some reason. I ended up really, actually, I've kind of done that a lot where I've worked with squares, so square canvases, and that's what we work on in CVP. And so I'm struggling a little bit with this one piece because it's not square, it's a rectangle. And I'm, yeah, I'm not sure. I need to just work on it a little bit more. My next pieces, I have also bought squares. So I think all the pieces that I'll have at the art walk that I'm doing in 2 weeks will be squares. Some of them are different sizes. So 12 by 12s, 14 by 14s, and 16 by 16s. And then I think there's 2 other pieces I'll have, but they're different. They're also not squares. Most of them are squares. Some of them are rectangles. And yeah, so those are the takeaways, momentum, and just move, just do something and try not to judge. Try not to be critical. Easier said than done, but just, thank that voice for their concern, for their feedback, and just say, you know what, I don't even need that right now. I'm going to just continue doing what I'm doing. Sometimes it can be helpful to write down if there's a lot of chatter happening. I actually will split the page actually. So I'll take even a page in this sketchbook. You could just create a line right down the middle of it, write down all the nasty thoughts that are coming out, and then you write the opposite. So this is gonna, you're gonna F this up, this sucks, why are you painting? Why are you even doing this? And just say, like, literally, you could just say, I'm not going to F this up, or I'm going to play today, I'm going to enjoy myself. Um, I'm doing this because it feels good. Just whatever feels good, you can write that down. And so it really is like, okay, we have all this kind of stuff that doesn't feel good, it's not helpful thoughts. And then you have another side of helpful thoughts or thoughts that feel better or just feel good to you. So that sometimes can be helpful too, because then at least you've given a voice to that kind of critical part. And sometimes when you do that, then they calm down a bit because they're being heard. So you could try that if you have those nasty voices. And until next time, you remember you are a work of art, and I will see you on the next, or hear you, listen to you. You'll listen to me on the next episode. So take care.